You're listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, don't give up.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with Miko Ramelow. Miko is a well-being coach, yoga therapy instructor, founder of the OpportYOUnity program, and firm supporter of turning the imperfect into perfect. Miko's childhood was very privileged, from private schools to round-the-world family trips, healthy home-cooked meals, and even endless unconditional love and support from her parents and brother. She had everything she needed to grow into a healthy, strong, and confident individual. Yet somehow she managed to drink too much alcohol, smoke too many cigarettes, touch the brink of anorexia, escape death several times, and fall into depression. Her journey has helped her create the OpportYOUnity program, which combines the powers of ancient wisdom and modern science to help adults, teenagers, and children fall back in love with nature, with their lives, and others around them, and above all, with themselves. Welcome to the show, Miko.
Thank you for having me, Jana.
By the way, that's some intro and some story. And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that, like having everything we needed to be in that healthy human being, inspiring others. And yet somewhere we tripped.
I know. I find that very fascinating with a lot of people that go into depression. It's often the case that they have everything that you think you want to have. And then somehow it still ends up going down that path.
I love it. And we ask all of our guests when they first come on the show to share their story of hope, because we believe like our stories of hope are superpowers that connect us to others. And every time we share it, we're sending those little heartbeats out into the world to connect with others and give them a feeling of hope. So do you want to share your story of hope?
Yes, I would love to. So basically, you've said a lot of it already, because yes, I was very sheltered as a kid, and I had everything that I wanted and or needed even as a kid. And what happened then is that I didn't know which direction to go into, because sometimes, when you have so many opportunities and possibilities, you just get lost into which direction should I go into. So I tried a lot of different things, from photography to psychology to profiling. And the profiling part was, to me, it happened in Switzerland that there was a profiler who I could learn from. And I took that opportunity. And at that moment in time, I had everything I desired. I had a boyfriend, a job that paid well. I had my own apartment. I was independent. I thought I found the career that I really wanted. And then everything crashed down within just 3 to 5 months. So it was a very short time period where I had everything, and then suddenly I had nothing. And for me, this is what really pulled me down towards depression. And the way that I like to describe it is that basically I felt like my emotions were in a cotton ball, and that every time I was spending time with people, I didn't feel the kind of emotions that I used to feel back then, when that didn't happen before that, the depression part. And so then, after a few months of wallowing in that, I just decided, okay, something needs to change. And I started out with changing my diet and started exercising. And that's also exactly how the OpportYOUnity program is structured, because I feel like we are in a very physical world. So we base a lot of importance on physical material things. And so for me, it is the easiest part to grab people's attention and to really start to make a change there, because once you see a shift happening in your physical body, it's easier to understand that something is actually shifting with you as well. And when I decided to make a shift in my nutritional habits and my exercise routines, I then also decided to learn for the Heilpraktiker exam, which is an alternative doctor. And while I was sitting in the traditional Chinese medicine lecture of my class, I decided that I wanted to learn this firsthand, these ancient wisdoms and traditional healing methods. So that's when I decided to then fly to India and to learn Ayurveda, which is similar to traditional Chinese medicine, but it's just the Indian version of it, but it has a lot of similarities. So once I arrived in India, everything seemed to shift and things just happened. I met the right people at the right time, and one event after another just seemed to push me into that alternative healing direction. And that's when I got in contact with yoga, where I realized that even if you're moving your physical body, you can move it in a very gymnastic way or very cardio way or bodybuilder way. But yoga kind of combines all of it, and it also works on your energy level. So every position, if you know how to do yoga and you practice it regularly, you get to also understand the philosophy behind it. And every position has its effect on different chakras, which is different energy wheels in the body. And as soon as you do practice yoga regularly, you kind of something shifts inside of you. And that's when it happened that my fluff ball, where all my emotions were encapsulated in, it just kind of fell apart. And this journey was a process of 9 months. So it was for me a literal rebirth. Well, not literal. Yeah, it was a rebirth that I just experienced within 9 months of living in India and practicing yoga and going into these alternative health methods and energetic healing even, which was completely not my thing before that. But I just really started to connect with all of these aspects. And yeah, the OpportYOUnity program is basically a compilation of all of these ancient wisdoms combined with modern day scientific findings, which I have researched and looked into. And yeah, I find the connection between the two is the important part, so that the modern day human can still connect to these ancient wisdoms in a way.
I love it. I want to talk a little bit about holistic medicine and the energy side of it, because I think that's the hugest part of it. People don't always pay attention to what they don't see. We don't even pay attention to our intuitive responses from our bodies until we have to. We can't ignore it any longer. But I always tell people that energy through your body and chakras, even though you don't see it, it's real. And it's like taking a garden hose and it's running, right? And you squeeze it. And instead of getting that natural flow out, you're getting a little drizzle because you can't completely cut it off. But it's because one thing is blocked. So everything's suffering, right? It's backing up on one end. It's not completely flowing out on the other. And our chakras are literally in alignment like that for a reason, because it flows sort of the same way. And if like your root chakra is blocked, everything is backing up below and not quite flowing through forward. And when you recognize that and you're able to tap into it through something like yoga, our breathing, our meditation, and clearing those pathways, things really start flowing correctly. You get your energy back, you sleep better. All these amazing things start happening. When you're working with people and helping them tap into that, recognize it, understand it's real, how does that look?
So we are all in different stages in life. So some of us are, they have not figured out their right diet, the right diet for them yet, or the right exercise routine for them. And we're all very, very different in that aspect, as in I use the human design, which is a concept that was invented by Ra-Uru-Hu. And it's connected to the I Ching, to astrology, to the chakras, and to the Kabbalah system. And by simply using the date of birth and the place of birth and the exact time of birth, you can get a lot of information about a person. And this might sound a bit voodoo for some, but it actually really, really works. And once you've had the first session with me, normally people are like, yeah, you totally understand me. And they feel heard. They finally feel seen. And with this, you can really direct a proper diet for that person, which doesn't mean no more carbs or no more sugar or no more carbs or no more proteins or something like that. But it's more, even what is important is, how do you eat? Do you eat in a loud environment, in a quiet environment? Do you eat at daylight? Do you digest better at nighttime? So even these little aspects are super powerful and super important to know, but that's completely disqualified in our modern day life. So a lot of people say, okay, you shouldn't eat after 6 o'clock at night. And for some, this might actually be really beneficial. So first I look at this whole chart that explains everything about you. And that shows me which kind of exercise would work for you. If you need to power yourself out before you sleep, or if you need to spend time by yourself before you sleep to release all the energies that you've collected throughout the day. So all of these aspects, I first look at the current lifestyle. How are you feeling today? What does your life look like today? And how have you worked on yourself today? And for me, the most important aspect is, are you willing to change? Are you willing to prioritize yourself and put yourself first? And if the answer is yes, then I can see, okay, the physical aspect might be perfectly fine if you've gotten your diet down properly, but maybe there's some energy missing in you. So you wake up in the morning and you feel low on energy. And then we start working on the energy aspect. If there's the first block, or we start working on the mind and emotions aspect, or the spiritual aspect. So depending on where your block lies, that's the first step we take.
So, by the way, I have been dying to do one of those where they track back your birth and they tell you all these magical things that are going on in that space from the moment you were born. But I haven't been able to do it because people think this is woo-woo, but I know other people who have done this and said it changed their lives. And all of a sudden, some of the things they never really understood completely made sense. But both of my parents are dead and I cannot find my birth certificate. So I've literally just had to order it so I can have this done, because I want to know everything about my body. I want to give it everything it needs about the spiritual universe around it and how I can tap into it. So I love that you do this. And before I go on any further, I just want to make sure that all of you guys understand that her OpportYOUnity program has a very unique spelling because it's all about you. So she spells it OpportYOUnity and put the word you in the middle of it, because it literally is all about you. So when you're talking about these energy flows and tapping into like eating, the whole thing about holistic, I don't know if you would agree with this, but when people ask me all the time, what does holistic mean to you? It means whole. It means it's not just about diet. It's not just about exercise. It's not just about like the body. Sometimes it's about the spiritual, the environment. It's like the whole. And so I feel like holistic should be spelled WHOLE instead.
I agree.
Because you can't just do one thing like your chakras. One chakra can't be running on 100% and the rest on 30 and think everything's going to work well. So for me, that's what holistic means. And I feel like when you take OpportYOUnity and you put you in it and tap into all of that, it's beautiful. So I love that you're doing that. When people do your program, by the way, who's doing this? What are they doing it for?
A lot of people do it because they have lost the direction in life, or they never found it in the first place. So it's either usually a lot of times it's mothers or even men that are after a certain age, like for example, 45, 50, when they feel like they have done a lot in their life already, but somehow they don't feel satisfied. Or it's people that are around 30 years old that are really lost in which direction they want to go. So these are the type of people that for now I have really been able to support with this program, because as you say already, as with the human design chart reading, for example, you can see what your life path should look like. You can see what your potential is. You can see how you are influenced by your surrounding and how you influence your surrounding. You can see your uniqueness in this world and what gifts you have to offer. So this reading alone can help unbelievably, as you have already said, your friends have told you. So it's really a magical masterpiece.
I know they think
and then
it's
afterwards
fortune telling, but it's not. It's
I
like
know
it's not. And
people really recognize themselves in it. Yeah. It's crazy.
So I'm just got a quick question, which is really off topic, but not. So if other people are born at the exact same time, Is their charts all exactly the same?
No, it also depends on your location. So it always depends where you were born, when you were born, and which exact time and date. And then with twins, they do have very, very similar charts, but even the few minutes, they still make a difference in the nuances. So what human design does is it shows you your potential, and twins have a similar potential, and they have similar strengths and similar challenges. But then when you take in numerology as well, which makes an impact on you as well, the name that you have been given makes a difference in who you are and how you're conditioned over and over again. So this is also something that you would take in when it comes to twins. But no, it's not. Everyone has a very unique chart usually.
I love it. I cannot wait to get mine done. When you're doing, when you're talking with your clients and working with them, for those of you who are thinking, I don't know, I feel like I know my purpose. I know for me, I always had this, even though I love doing interior design, I always had this burning inside of me that I know I was meant to do something that impact the world. I just knew it. And it wasn't until I was literally so sick and on my deathbed that aha moment was, I recognized it, although it was right in front of me all the time. I really recognized it and was able to do that. And so I don't want you guys wasting 50 years. I was 51 when this happened, to tap into what your true potential is and what opportunities not only do you have for yourself, but to share with the world. Like that, gosh, if we could all do that, can you imagine the level we would be living on?
That's actually my wish. My wish is to bring this into school systems, because the earlier you start, the less you have to decondition yourself. Because what we do is we go through life and we're programmed by our environment, by our parents, consciously and subconsciously. And even that you can see in the human design chart, how your ancestors 5 generations back have influenced you. So that's why you can say, oh, you're so much like your grandmother in some aspects, or you're like your grandfather. And these things can then be shown in the chart as well. And each of the gates that you would see in the chart has a conscious side and a subconscious side, and it has a shadow aspect. So what happened to me was that when I was a teenager, I had a lot of shadow aspects that were living through me. So there's one gate that is quite aggressive and angry inside of me. But through meditation and through yoga, I was able to balance that out. And now I was able to shift it to the mastery aspect, which is bliss and calmness. But just to be able to see this in your chart and to hear this from someone else is just a huge recognition. And then you finally understand, because sometimes I still think, why do I still have that inside of me? I don't let it out, but sometimes I still feel it. And that's when I was like, why is it still there? And human design kind of showed me that's why. And it's completely okay. It's you, it's normal. Be you.
I love that you want to start bringing this into children, because I definitely think the younger we get to you, the more potential you have, because it's already there as kids. Like, think about your kids. I remember walking around being Miss America, right? I never thought I couldn't be. And I was practicing my wave, right? Or I was a rock star in the bedroom singing with my hairbrush and doing all the things. And then you get older and you heard, you don't sing well. You can't do this. You'll never do that because of this. And all these things are your body image, right? Like, think of the things you wore as a kid. You came out and dressed yourself and your mom's like, oh no, no, not today. And she'll redress you or whatever. So you think you did something wrong. Pretty soon you stifle that down and you start having body images. I've never seen a child with body images. That comes later, right?
Yes. And that's what, for me, it would be so important to just bring self-love into school, because self-love automatically brings out everything else. It brings out self-confidence. It brings out empathy towards others, because once you're happy with yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else throws at you, because you love yourself, and that's all that matters. So in the end, for me, I would love to bring opportunity into schools and to teach kids to love themselves, because it reflects in all aspects. It reflects in your work, in your relationships with your sexual partners and your friends and your family. And once you fall in love with yourself, you attract opportunities and everything just goes the way that it should.
I will tell you, I have 3 daughters and a son, and I raised them telling them, do not get married, do not get in a serious relationship, do not share your love with anyone else until you love yourself first. And the minute you do that, you will attract the right people. You will be in a healthy relationship because you know what your value is and you respect theirs that they're bringing to the table. So I think if we teach kids at a young age to recognize that self-love, the only opinion that should really matter at the end of the day is theirs of themselves, not someone else's, because unfortunately they're handing you their baggage and all you should do is pack it back up and say, thank you. I have my own. So here's yours.
Yes, exactly. And in the end, you're going to be spending the rest of your life with yourself, no one else. That's
100%. I mean, you really need to learn to love yourself. That's the number one beautiful thing you can give yourself, is understanding and loving and forgiving yourself for whatever little issues may pop up. Like, I've had to forgive myself a lot, but there's growth in that, right? I'm thankful for the opportunity to have done that to myself. And yet I forgive myself for doing it. Right. I know this girl who told this most amazing story about weight loss. And she said, as she started dropping the pounds, she thanked them. Thank you for protecting me when I was not brave enough to be this. Thank you for being here during my divorce or whatever. And she started thanking them, and she's like, I lost weight like crazy.
Beautiful.
Releasing all the things that were attached to that weight. So there's so much attached to what's going on. And when you are able to like do a program like the OpportYOUnity program and tap into what's really there inside of you, like, wow, that's powerful. So tell me how people can start working with you.
They can contact me through my website. There are 2 options at the moment. So one is for people that want to take this journey on their own. And then there's another option for couples, because with the human design, for example, I can also see how you interact with your partner and how you can support one another and what each one of their challenges are. And together you can then really love, understand, and accept one another for your strength and also for your shadow aspects, because we all have shadow aspects. And to hide them away, that's just not going to do anyone any good. So it's important to really look at all of these aspects and to get to know and understand and love all of your aspects.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what a shadow aspect is? Is like a darker side of you?
A shadow aspect is something that, so from the human design aspect, when you have an active gate, it means that this is something that is constantly within you. So it's, you can have all of the design, because the planets, they move and they shift. And every time the planets move and shift, they activate different gates within you as well. But the gates that are fixed are the ones that are colored in within you. And when you look at the gate specifically at one gate, you can see something that is a shadow aspect and a mastery. And the shadow aspect is something when you haven't faced the challenges of your gate and you haven't recognized your gate, then you're probably going to fall into the shadow aspect. So the less you work on yourself, the more you are on your shadow aspect, because you're basically closing your eyes to these sides of you instead of opening your eyes, accepting them and loving them.
Wow. So you guys really want to pay attention to that, because how many of you keep dating the wrong guy or keep doing the same thing over and over? You're like, why does this keep happening? Because you haven't learned the lesson yet. You haven't factored that in, recognized it, learned from it, and moved past it. So it will keep happening.
And one of my clients, interestingly enough, I just had a reading where she has this gate which does attract men that are always out of the norm, like out of her society, like her social surrounding is not going to accept them most of the time. And this is in her design. So she will pick people that do not fit into her social surrounding. But this is something this is how she learns and how she loves and how she understands the world better and better and better with every man that she chooses, until she finally chooses someone that impacts the social surrounding in a positive way, even though he falls out of the picture.
Wow. So she'll have to learn some stuff before she gets there.
Yes.
I used to call it a bad man picker, but the truth of the matter is it's a lesson we need to learn, to grow from, to find the right person. So, oh my gosh, I think this is amazing. I hope all of you connect with her. Can you tell us your website again?
Yes, it's www.OpportYOUnity, OpportYOUnity.life.
And we are going to put all the links in there so that you can easily connect with Miko. And I'm so sorry that I got that wrong. I'm just super excited because there's so much energy. I feel like so much energy coming from you right now that it just got me really excited about this. Not only do I want to do it, I know all my listeners are going to be like, I need to have one of those life charts. I want to know what gates I need to learn from. And by the way, I'm 60. I'm constantly learning about myself. It's never too late to be in a better space, right? To give your body, your mind, your spirit more of what it needs to do more, to be more, to give more. So I'm totally signing up for this stuff. As soon as I get my birth certificate, I'm in.
Yes. Well, it was a big pleasure to talk to you today, Jana, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And yes, I would love to give you a reading.
Miko, this was amazing. Like, I literally have so much energy from this talk. So I hope all of you feel that as well and connect with her. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there, so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show. That'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.